What's good, everybody? It's your boy Joe B1, your favorite rap and Black Series collector and #1 hip-hop Jedi in the galaxy. Hope everybody's doing all right today. Today we've got a little bit of a different video for you, and I appreciate you for tuning in. We're going to be talking about a tough real-life subject. We're going to be looking at some figures to kind of take us along the way. And I hope by the end of this video, you guys find yourself maybe feeling a little bit better about some circumstances maybe that you're facing. Or, if you face something in the future that's kind of tough, maybe you'll be able to look back at the messages in this video and gain some inspiration or some hope. Or heck, maybe this will just offer you a distraction for the next, 10, 11, 12 minutes, however long this video ends up being. But guys, I just want to thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to you. It really, 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 truly means a lot to me. And let's go ahead and get into it. Much love. May the force be with you.
Guys, you're looking at 3 of the biggest failures in all of Star Wars. That's right. 3 of the biggest failures in all of Star Wars. The decisions that they made, some of the stuff that they did kind of led to a lot of the problems that we know, a lot of the conflict that we see. And we're going to dig into that in a little bit more detail and also explain why that failure was absolutely necessary. Starting with Yoda. See, Yoda was the head of the Jedi Order. 900 years old, so much experience, knowledge, and immensely powerful. And yet under his watch, Palpatine rose and the dark side of the Force began to take hold. And it was right underneath Yoda's nose, man. It was right in front of him and he didn't see it. And in spite of all that, he still imparted so much wisdom, so much knowledge, and ultimately passed on to his apprentice what was needed to go on and eventually help save the galaxy. And the Force works in kind of mysterious ways. Yoda might not have even realized he was being used in this manner. But his failure and the lessons learned from that failure were necessary for Luke and Obi-Wan to go on and do what they did. To help the rebellion, to free the galaxy. They each had a role to play. And that failure, way back when, ultimately ended up teaching Luke, much further in the future, the lesson that he needed to learn about that very failure. And next up is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, obviously, he was, Padawan to Qui-Gon Jinn, but Yoda was his grandmaster, and he learned a lot from Yoda. And you could see that Yoda went into exile whenever Anakin and all that stuff happened. Obi-Wan goes into exile. Like, they all put themselves into some sort of self-imposed exile because of their failure. But Obi-Wan was necessary, and all the lessons that he and everything that he went through was necessary for him to get to the point where he could teach Luke what he needed to in A New Hope. So though he messed up, and though Anakin turned to the dark side and all that sort of stuff, and he saw it as his own failure, it was necessary. But speaking of Luke Skywalker, obviously from the Battle of Crate, and this is the SH Figure Arts, by the way. Black Series doesn't make this, but I just want to point out that in this battle that he had with Kylo Ren, it was probably the most Jedi moment of all Jedi. He never threw a blow. He never struck at him. He only acted in defense. And he proved that he could have affected the physical environment whenever he handed Leia those dice. So, he could have struck down his nephew and he didn't. Not only that, but he didn't even raise a hand towards him. And his failure up to that point taught him what he needed to know that in that moment, his nephew needed to see that. And what may have been a loss ended up being a win.
Now listen, some of our favorite heroes, some of the people we look up to, whether they're fictional or real, all have faced failure at some point in their life or another. And I think that strength is kind of shown in those people who are willing to admit where things went wrong, and B, are willing to take a look at themselves and see how they can grow, how they can change, how they can continue to improve. And we learn a lot of these same lessons through these guys, these characters that I'm talking about today. Like each one of them had a failure, something go wrong. And what's crazy is you could do everything absolutely right. You could make every right choice. You could make every right move. And then things still go wrong. You could still fail. And to me, that's one of the most quintessentially human things that there possibly is. And a lot of times I think maybe we forget that our heroes are human. Case in point with Luke's story, as we covered. You know what I mean? I mean, that guy, everybody expected watching the new sequel trilogies to see this, super knight, basically facing the dragon of the New Order one-on-one. And the reality is that he had some things happen in his life that kind of led towards some decisions and choices that may have led towards failure. And I think that, again, is one of the most human things that exist on the planet. And that isn't to take away from, like, your experience. Maybe you've missed something, or you've made a mistake, or whatever, and you found yourself kind of stuck in that mistake, or you found yourself stuck in that place. And that was kind of the lesson I think Yoda was trying to teach Luke in the sequels, was like, hey man, failure's our best teacher. Making mistakes is a part of life, and making bad choices is a part of life. But there's more to us than our bad choices, our bad luck, our bad experiences, and the things that may have impacted our life in maybe a negative way. And I think sometimes it's easy to give in and define yourself by those things, And there are a lot of things in life that aren't our fault and that aren't in our control. And I think a lot of the perception of what failure is comes from that place of that need for, like, personal control in one's life. And so what can we control? What can we affect? What can we do every day? Small things, little things that can show us that victory is indeed possible, and that winning doesn't necessarily look like becoming rich or becoming famous or becoming the leading person in your field. Success, winning, might look like you raised a good kid, you took care of your pet and have kept them happy. You chose to listen to understand with someone that you love when they're going through something, and you try to offer them not only a solution or an answer, but mostly an ear, empathy, someone who understands and someone who cares. To me, that might be the biggest sign of success, is not how you handle getting to this perceived place of popularity, but actually how you deal with the people that are closest to you. To me, that is the Jedi way. That is the Jedi way. All the self-righteousness, all the indignation that you may feel within yourself about towards this and towards that, I get it, man. I get it 100%. However, I challenge you, practice gratefulness. Look in your life right now and be grateful for the little victories that you have achieved. And if you're going through something, if you're struggling, if you got something going on in your life, but you're still here, that means you're not done. That means there's still something left for you to accomplish. And maybe that thing doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, I'm the greatest or the best or the biggest at this, or this, or I'm the richest, or I have this. Maybe it's not about that. Maybe it's about how good you treat the least of these, the lowest of the low, the ones that are struggling and going through life that you could not even imagine surviving. And these people are day to day going through it. Some of them, a lot of them, with a big smile on their face. That's winning. That's victory. Failure is when you actually are surrounded by things and people that you love. And there are things to enjoy and be grateful for, but you don't take the time to be grateful for those things and to recognize those wins in your life. But that's all I really got to say today, guys. I know I'm kind of going on a rant. I hope it doesn't bother you too much. But I know sometimes, and especially, man, living in this kind of era that we're in, you know, things are getting more expensive. Life's getting harder to figure out. And if you're not fairly well off, you might be kind of really trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. How are you going to get from week to week? Just know that making it from week to week, that's a victory. Just know that every day that you don't give up, every day that you don't quit, that's a victory, fam. All right, y'all. Your boy Joby1, the Hip Hop Jedi. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I know this has been a long rant. I apologize if this is boring you or... but if you're still here, it really means a lot to me because I am sharing from my heart. And I want you guys to know that I care. I care about what you're going through. I care about what you are going through. Everything that you got going on that might be hard, I actually care. Especially if you're here showing love and support on the channel, because all that helps keep me pushing. It helps keep me going. So we're here for one another. You know what I'm saying? Drop a comment down below, man. If you're new around here and you like what you see here in the Hip Hop Jedi Joby1 space, do consider hitting like and drop a comment. And like I said, subscribe if you're new. You know, that helps me stay motivated to bring y'all new content, to talk to y'all about figures, Star Wars, all that type of stuff, to talk to you about life, to share some of the stuff I've learned in my life, all of that stuff, man. And that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here. If something I've been through, something I've gone through, something I've survived, or something I enjoy helps give you another day, another minute, I guess that's a victory. Much love. May the force be with you. We'll see y'all later.
Eyes open before the alarm clock ringing. While I'm smoking, I'm deep inside of my thoughts racing. Swisher burns, the world turns, they hearts changing. Think they learn? Now come on, face it. Yeah, they disgrace us with the way that they make us try to be just like them, but they can't ever break us.